Zola, I don't care about your status or appearance. I love you for who you are. Zola laughed bitterly. Love? What can your love give me? I need someone who can match my status, someone worthy of me. Lano left, his flute silent, and Zola never saw him again. Did you hear about the princess? Whispered Lina, a palace maid, as she scrubbed the grand marble steps leading to the royal hall. No, what now? Asked Kina, balancing a tray of freshly polished goblets. They say another suitor turned her down. That's the third one this month, Lina said, lowering her voice even further. Kina sighed, glancing around to ensure no one else was listening. It's not surprising. Princess Zola is kind and talented, but she trailed off. But what? Lina pressed. Well, Kina hesitated. People say her breath is unbearable. Men don't want a wife whose mouth drives them away every time she speaks or smiles. It's not fair, but that's how they think. Lina frowned. It's such a shame. Have you ever heard her sing? Her voice is so beautiful it could melt the hardest heart. Yes, but what's the use of a voice when men are holding their noses the moment she opens her mouth? Kina replied softly. Unbeknownst to them, Princess Zola stood hidden behind the carved wooden column of the hall. She had overheard every word. Though she was used to hearing such comments, the sting of rejection still felt fresh every time. Quietly, she returned to her chambers, her heart heavy and her dreams of love seeming further away than ever. Zola was the eldest daughter of King Tima and Queen Rina of Nima. Unlike her two younger sisters, Thea and Mira, who were married to noblemen and celebrated for their elegance, Zola was unmarried. Her sisters were admired for their beauty, always the center of attention at festivals and gatherings. Zola, however, was undeniably beautiful but plagued by a severe mouth odor that made people avoid her. The villagers whispered behind her back, and potential suitors rejected her before even meeting her. King Tima and Queen Rina tried everything to help her, herbal remedies, potions, and consultations with healers, but nothing worked. Despite her royal status, the rejection hurt. Zola retreated further into herself, finding solace in singing. Her voice was extraordinary, a gift that seemed to come from the heavens. She sang songs of love and longing, pouring all her emotions into her music. Her parents often suggested she sing at festivals to gain admiration, but Zola refused, fearing that people would mock her odor instead of appreciating her talent. One evening, while sneaking away to the edge of the village to sing, Zola heard the soft, haunting melody of a flute weaving through her song. Startled, she stopped and looked around. From behind a tree, a young man emerged, holding a simple wooden flute. "Please, don't stop," he said with a kind smile. "Your voice is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard." Zola hesitated, unsure if he was mocking her. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" she asked. "My name is Lano," he replied. "I'm a traveler. I was passing by when I heard your voice. It drew me in like magic." Zola studied him cautiously. He wore plain clothes and carried no weapons, but his smile was warm and sincere. Finally, she nodded. "You can stay, but only if you promise not to tell anyone about me." Lano agreed, And as he began playing his flute again, Zola continued singing. The harmony they created was unlike anything she had ever experienced. Over time, their meetings became a regular occurrence, and Zola began to look forward to the evenings spent singing with Lano. For the first time, she felt truly seen and appreciated. But one day, as they sat talking after a song, Lano noticed her discomfort when he leaned closer. Her answers became shorter, and she turned her head away when speaking. "Zola," Lano said gently, "why do you avoid looking at me when you speak?" Zola hesitated, her eyes glistening with tears. "You don't understand," she whispered. I have an affliction. My breath, it's unbearable." Lano frowned, not in disgust, but with concern. "That's why you hide your voice and your smile?" Zola nodded, unable to meet his gaze. "Everyone avoids me because of it. Even my parents have tried to help, but nothing works." Lano thought for a moment before smiling reassuringly. "Then let me help you. I've traveled far and seen many remedies for all kinds of ailments. There must be something that can heal this." Zola looked at him, her hope renewed. "You would do that for me?" "Of course," Lano said simply. "Your voice deserves to be heard, and your smile deserves to be seen." Lano spent weeks traveling to distant villages, speaking to herbalists and healers. He returned with a bundle of rare herbs, their fragrances sharp and medicinal. "This must be boiled and gargled every day," he told Zola. "It won't be easy, and it will take time, but I believe this will help." Zola followed his instructions faithfully, enduring the bitter taste of the herbal concoction. Slowly but surely, she began to notice a difference. The unbearable odor faded, and for the first time in years, she could speak and sing without shame. Within months, Zola's breath returned to normal. Her confidence grew, and her beauty, undeniable even before, now shone without the shadow of her affliction. When Zola and Lano met again, he greeted her with the same warm smile. "My songbird," he said, his eyes lighting up. "You're even more beautiful than I remember." But Zola's smile faded. "You shouldn't call me that," she said sharply. "It sounds childish." Lano was taken aback but brushed it off, thinking she might just be in a bad mood. He played his flute, but Zola barely sang. When she did, her voice lacked the warmth it once had. As days turned into weeks, Zola became harsher with Lano. She called him a wretched pauper and laughed at his plain clothes. "Do you really think someone like me could be with someone like you?" she sneered during one meeting. Eventually, Zola stopped coming to their hideout altogether. Lano waited for her every evening, flute in hand, but she never returned. Every day, new suitors arrived at the palace, bearing gifts of gold, silk, and jewels. Zola took her time, enjoying the attention she had once dreamed of. She made the men wait for hours before seeing them, testing their patience and devotion. "I'll decide when I'm ready," she told her parents, who were overjoyed to see their daughter finally being courted. Though dozens of men came and went, Zola rejected them all. None of them seemed good enough for her now. In her heart, she compared every suitor to Lano, though she would never admit it to herself. When Lano finally approached her again, hoping to rekindle their connection, Zola barely recognized him. Dressed in his simple clothes, he looked out of place among the wealthy suitors. You don't belong here, she told him coldly. Go back to whatever village you came from. Lano's heart broke, but he tried to reason with her. Zola, I don't care about your status or appearance. I love you for who you are. Zola laughed bitterly. Love? What can your love give me? I need someone who can match my status, someone worthy of me. Lano left, his flute silent, and Zola never saw him again.